It all started on a dating app, like so many stories do these days. His name was Mark, and his profile was perfect, great smile, adventurous photos, a bio that was both witty and genuine. We matched, and the conversation flowed so easily, it felt like I'd known him for years. We talked for weeks, every day, from morning till night. He made me feel seen, heard, and incredibly special. Finally, he asked me out. I was over the moon. He suggested we go back to his place for our first date. Now, I know what you're thinking, and a small part of me was hesitant, but he was so charming and reassuring. He said he was a great cook and wanted to make me dinner, something quiet and personal where we could really talk without shouting over the noise of a restaurant. It sounded romantic, and honestly, I was already so smitten that I agreed. The excitement I felt getting ready that night was electric. I really thought this could be the start of something real. When I arrived at his apartment, everything was just as he described. It was clean, stylish, and cozy. He had candles lit, soft music playing, and the aroma of a delicious meal filled the air. He greeted me with a warm hug and that killer smile. He poured me a glass of wine, and we sat on the couch, talking and laughing. The chemistry was undeniable. It felt so comfortable, so right. He was attentive, funny, and hung on my every word. For the first hour or so, it was an absolute dream. I let my guard down completely, believing I had finally found a good one. We were sharing stories, our hands kept finding each other, and the connection felt deep and instantaneous. I was completely captivated. As we were about to sit down for dinner, he said he just needed to grab something from his room. He was gone for a minute, and then I heard the front door open. I assumed maybe he'd forgotten something in his car. But then I heard voices, male voices, and laughter. My heart started to pound. What was going on? A moment later, Mark walked back into the living room, but he wasn't alone. 3 of his friends followed him in, beers in hand, laughing loudly. They stopped short when they saw me. The air went from romantic and intimate to cold and awkward in a split second. I just sat there, frozen on the couch, my wine glass in hand. I was so confused. Mark looked at me, then at his friends, and gave this uncomfortable little laugh. "Oh, hey guys," he said. "This is Sarah." His friends mumbled some awkward hellos, looking just as confused as I felt. One of them shot Mark a look that I couldn't quite decipher, but it wasn't friendly. The dream date had shattered. I was no longer on a romantic evening with a potential soulmate. I was suddenly an uninvited guest at a boys' night. Mark tried to play it off, offering his friends a seat, asking if they wanted some of the dinner he'd made for ***. The atmosphere was thick with tension. I felt my face flush with embarrassment. I was on display, and I felt incredibly small and foolish. The intimate conversation we'd been having was replaced by loud jokes and talk about sports and things I had no part in. I tried to understand what was happening. Did he forget they were coming? Did he plan this? Was this some kind of weird test or a joke? My mind was racing, trying to make sense of the humiliation I was feeling. Mark barely looked at me. The attentive, charming man from an hour ago had vanished, replaced by this guy who was trying way too hard to be cool in front of his friends. He was acting like I was just some random girl who happened to be there, not the person he'd spent weeks getting to know and had supposedly planned this special evening for. His friends seemed to sense the weirdness. They kept glancing at me, then at Mark. The conversation was stilted and forced. The beautiful dinner he had prepared sat on the counter, getting cold. My appetite was gone anyway. I felt like an idiot. I had dressed up, opened up my heart, and allowed myself to be vulnerable, all for this. To be a sideshow for his buddies. The disrespect was staggering. It was clear he hadn't told them I was coming. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a deliberate act of disregard for my feelings. After about 20 minutes of this excruciating awkwardness, I knew I couldn't stay a second longer. My fairy tale evening had turned into a public humiliation. I quietly stood up, my hands trembling slightly. Mark finally looked over at me, a flicker of something, maybe guilt. In his eyes. "I have to go," I said, my voice barely a whisper. I didn't want to make a scene. I just wanted to disappear. He didn't try to stop me. He just nodded and said, "Oh, okay, I'll walk you out." The walk to the door was the longest, most silent walk of my life. The laughter from his friends in the living room felt like daggers in my back. When we got to the door, he finally spoke. "I'm sorry," he mumbled, not meeting my eyes. They weren't supposed to come over until later. It was such a weak, pathetic excuse. Later, so was I supposed to be gone by then? Was I just the pre-game entertainment before his real night began? The insult of it all hit me like a ton of bricks. "It's fine," I said, my voice flat. But it wasn't fine, it was cruel. I didn't say anything else. I didn't yell or cry. I just turned and walked away, leaving him standing in his doorway. As I drove home, the tears I'd been holding back finally started to fall. They weren't tears of sadness for losing him, but tears of anger and humiliation. He hadn't just disrespected me, he had shown me exactly who he was. Someone who didn't value me, my time, or my feelings. That night taught me a huge lesson. It's not about grand romantic gestures, but about basic respect. He could have texted his friends and told them to come another night. He could have told me they were coming. He could have done 100 different things that would have shown he respected me as a person. But he chose to do nothing. He chose to let me be humiliated. And that told me everything I needed to know. The next day, I blocked his number, deleted our chat, and unmatched him. I never heard from him again, and I'm so grateful for that. It was a painful experience, but it was also a powerful one. It reminded me to always trust my gut and to never, ever settle for someone who makes you feel small. You deserve someone who is proud to be with you, not someone who treats you like an inconvenient secret. Thank you for listening to my story. It's important for us to share these experiences so we can all learn and recognize the red flags. If you've been through something similar, know that you're not alone, and it's not your fault. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories. Stay strong and know your worth.